In 2012, runner Annette Nagesa was set to represent her country of Uganda at the London Olympics. But just weeks before the event, she learned that her high testosterone levels made her ineligible to compete with the other women. So she was given two options: undergo a medical procedure to reduce her testosterone or abandon her Olympic dreams. Take a look.
Had some difficulties here in the society whereby people judge you. They start talking about you, a man, a woman, man, a woman. Sometimes you just tell your heart, calm down. Yeah. You know who you are.
That's a clip from the new documentary Category Woman, premiering at this year's Hot Docs Festival. And director Phyllis Ellis and athlete Annette Nagesa join us today to talk about it. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Phyllis, I want to start with a shocking statistic from your film that states that from 1966 to 2000, over 10,000 women were sex tested at Olympic sporting events, meaning they were tested to see if they belonged in the women's category. And it's hard to believe that this testing is still going on. In basic terms, can you break down what these gender tests look like today?
Yeah, so 68 to 2000, all women athletes, Winter and Summer Olympics and at international competitions were sex tested, not the men, just the women. And today the tests are more targeted. They have different names, but they're targeted and generally targeted to women, predominantly from the global south.
So Annette, as we mentioned, in 2012, you were headed to the London Olympics, and that's when you were told your testosterone levels were too high to compete. So you say you were told that you needed to get a medical procedure to lower those levels, but you thought it would be as simple as a needle extraction. You ended up getting a gonadectomy, which is an invasive surgery. You woke up confused, you were in the hospital bed. Can you explain what was going on through your mind at the moment?
Yeah, by that moment when I woke up after the surgery in the morning, when I came back, when I was conscious, so I found myself and my belly having cut. So I was asking myself really what's going on with my body, what has happened really. I wasn't understanding. I was too confused because I was not understanding anything there, what really they have done to myself.
Yeah, I can imagine. And the thing is, you know, you went through the procedure to get back to doing the sport that you love. But were you able to go back to running? And did you get any support to recover and make that happen?
Yeah, first of all, I can give that I've never received anything from any care from the organization after this surgery. And also I've tried very hard to do training, running, coming back, but really it has been hard for me to come back to the shape where I was. Yeah.
Phyllis, the argument behind these restrictions is that they create a more level playing field in sports, but there are always exceptional athletes who stand out from the rest. Michael Phelps, for example, his wingspan is over 2 meters, and nobody is calling that an unfair advantage. So is fairness really an argument in sports?
Well, I think, you know, we don't have a right to win, but we all have a right to compete. And when you look at races where athletes are winning by less than 0.4 of a second, it's not like athletes are winning so by 40 meters.
Right.
And I think level playing field, some athletes are just better than others. And I think that's what Olympic sport is. Olympic sport is filled with anomalies and great athletes. And that's what these women are. They're champions.
Now, Phyllis, you were an Olympic field hockey player, and you said that if you were banned from competing, it would have been devastating, of course, but it wouldn't have meant losing your livelihood in Canada. For Annette, though, the situation is different. Annette, not only were you physically weakened to the point that you couldn't run, but your ability to support your family was also impacted. How did this situation affect you and your family's livelihood?
The situation was really very hard, whereby I reached a point whereby I no longer being able to help my family because the sport was my business, was my career, was my everything. And it was a place where I get some income to sustain my family. Yeah, looking after my little siblings at home and together with my parents. So it was hard life being there when I'm not able again to help my family and also even to help myself too. And just I was again giving the burden to the families to look after me, which was very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phyllis, the Court of Arbitration for Sport has called these regulations a necessary form of discrimination. Athletes who are deemed suspicious can be singled out and tested, but we've seen that they tend to be women of color from the global south, as you mentioned earlier. So these measures are meant to protect women, but have you found, or do you think, which women are they really protecting?
Well, I think that's a very good question for the higher ups in sport. But I'll just put it this way. Imagine you're 18 years old and you're from a tribal village and you go to compete and run twice around a track in this incredible opportunity. And you are, the next morning you wake up and your personal medical records are plastered all over the international paper. Your personal life, you are shunned. You are shunned by your community. You are shunned by your friends. You lose your income, all in the name of sport. So how is that a level playing field?
Well, on that note, Annette, we've talked about leveling the playing field. So we're wondering what other athletes think of these regulations. Now, from your experience, are they opposed to this discrimination, or are they relieved to have their fiercest competition eliminated?
Yeah, first of all, let me say it's about knowledge of understanding what is called DSD.
DSD?
So whereby not that everyone understands, even me. By that time, I was not knowing what DSD means. So even the athletes would not also be knowing that really this and this is happening. Yeah, and whether this person is suffering from this issue, whereby the regulation is calm, you are not sick, you don't use drugs, and then they tell you that you are not allowed to go for competition. Whereby other athletes will start also being there isolating you, thinking that either you take drugs or you are something else creature or something like that. So they also not understand everything, and so they get also a different mind in their thinking.
And I just want to clarify for our audience out there, can you tell us what DSD is?
DSD is the organized is sexual. It's something like that. I think if First can help me with that.
I'd love to help you with that.
Yeah.
It's their term, but the acronym stands for Difference in Sex Development. Okay. And it's just a variation, just like any other variation. We're all humans. We all have different biological, kinesthetic, physiological makeups, and that's one difference, like so many differences. I also, wanted to take the opportunity to say that Annette is the first athlete to come forward in the world to talk about what she experienced. And she is really a hero and a leader and was one of the great voices that participated in the conversation of changing the rules. And the IOC came out in November with a new sort of fairness approach, and they are no longer going to be using testosterone as a biomarker at the Olympic Games. And that's largely because of the activism of athletes like Annette and the many athletes that are contributing to this conversation, and the activists and the experts. So Annette is a, really revered, and we should, really should be honored for her courage.
And we're honored that, Annette, you've joined us today to share your story, and we're honored to speak to you, Phyllis, too, for this film. It's called Category Woman. It premieres at the Hot Docs Film Festival this weekend. You can stream it across the country starting May 2nd. Head to www.hotdocs.ca for more details. Thanks to you both for joining us. And